see you guys in the dark.
I'm a 22-year-old male, and I'm a security guard who was working a graveyard shift from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I was posted at a library where my main task was to watch for trespassers, particularly some older male who keeps coming back to the library overnight. The library had a bolo out for him, and he mailed me a photo of him so that I was at the lookout. Around 1, I got up and went out on patrol. I approached the door to go outside. I saw 2 homeless people sitting outside on a bench with a shopping cart that happened to have been covered by a tarp. The tarp had stains all over it. Being creeped out already, I hesitated to even go outside. I thought about using the on-site cell phone to call the police department, as that is what I'm supposed to do anyways. However, I decided it wouldn't be right to just call without letting the couple know that they were trespassing, and give them the opportunity to go away without incident, as it would have been less work for me anyways. I have to call PD. I have to make an incident report. So I just grabbed my flashlight and then walked outside, identifying myself and letting the couple know that they needed to leave immediately. They were a younger white couple. Neither one matched the description of the suspect. The man was pacing back and forth. He smoked a cigarette, writing something on a notepad. The woman was sitting down, just staring. So anyways, I told them both to leave. The woman starts arguing about how she's homeless, and how the police already told her that she could stay. I knew that was obviously a lie, and told her that she needed to leave right now. We got onto the subject about how they shouldn't be here. I kept trying to explain to her that she was loitering, and that wasn't allowed here. She began to argue with me about the definition of it, and just being a pain in the butt. This whole time, the man did absolutely nothing. He was just in his own little world, continuing to walk around and smoke constantly. I knew that I wasn't going to get anywhere by being nice, so I told them that I would be calling the police. I went back inside to the security room and then called. 10 minutes went by after I had called the police. They apparently had left. A little while later, the police had arrived. I went to go talk to them. They didn't seem to care much. Once they saw that they were gone, they just told me to call them back if anything happened. So I go back out, and I'm making my way around the building. I run into the same woman who I just called the police on. She was now by herself. The man wasn't anywhere in sight. She had a very odd stance and posture. I can't really describe, but if you've ever played any of the Silent Hill games, her posture was similar to the way the nurses stand. I didn't even say anything. She didn't seem to notice me at all. I went back to where the police were still parked and told them that she was still on the premises. They got out of their car and walked with me to where she was standing and told her that she had to leave. She started telling them that she had permission to be there and that the sheriff told her that she was allowed to be there. They told her that she wasn't. And eventually she left, or so I thought. After the police finally left, I went back inside to make a cup of coffee. I decided I wanted a little fresh air. I decided to stand outside, and I drank my coffee. It was around 2 a.m. at this point. Now this is where things get really creepy. Next to the library parking lot is a big park with a playground. I started to hear what sounded like whispering, followed by menacing laughter. I look over to where the noise was, and barely managed to spot the couple. The man had returned, and was standing next to the woman from earlier. They were just staring. Because it was so dark, I could only see their silhouettes. Their eyes were literally glowing, kind of like a person's eyes glow in a picture. The woman laughed while the man said in a slow, monotone voice all the different ways that he could hurt me. He said it loud enough so that I could understand what he was saying, and I knew that he was talking about me. He was talking to her, but was talking about cutting my face off, and then skinning me. Then he shouts that uniform doesn't make you tough. At that point, I just got too sketched out, went inside to finish my shift. The rest of the night was pretty unsettling too, because I kept hearing voices outside and tapping on the walls and doors. I just knew that it was them. Luckily, they couldn't get inside without a key card. When my shift ended, I went to my car, and there was a sticky note that read, "Next time, you won't be so lucky." with a crosshair symbol next to the words. Needless to say, I am never returning to that library overnight ever again. This happened when I was about 18 or 19. I'm still very curious what this creepy man wanted. I went to the grocery store with my mom in the middle of the day. It was pretty crowded. When we first walked through the door, I noticed this man was wearing paint splatter clothes standing there, talking to some other guys. He was just staring at me as I walked by. I didn't think anything about it because I'm used to guys creeping by now. And I was with my mom, so what is he really going to do? Well, after about 15 minutes of shopping, I had noticed that we crossed paths a few times with the man that I saw first when we walked in. Again, I really didn't bother with it. Just thought that he was shopping like the rest of us. But then it got to a point that I started seeing him too often. Like every aisle we walked down, he would come down as well. So my radar went off, and I began to pay more attention. I noticed that the man had no cart, no basket, not even an item in his hands, and we've been shopping there for at least 20 minutes by now. I also noticed every single aisle we went down, which was about 20 to 30 seconds later, he would be right behind us, and stop maybe 15 or so feet away, grab a random item off the shelf, glance back and forth from the item as he was holding it to us. Once we would begin walking to the next aisle, he'd put the item back and continue to follow us, never once keeping any items that he was grabbing. After about 3 aisles, I decided I wasn't overreacting, so I told my mother. I whispered to her that I was thinking this man was following us. She glanced over and didn't say anything. The next aisle is where he was again. I pointed it out to my mother a second time and told her this is the 4th or 5th aisle that he was directly following us down without getting any items. This time she definitely noticed and was weirded out. She continued on as normal. Every new aisle he would just walk down. He would follow and kept doing the same weird thing, like grabbing random items and then putting them back as soon as we started walking. We kept whispering to each other how creepy it was getting, but didn't know what to do. We got into the fruits and vegetable section. Didn't notice him following us up to the area. After about 2 minutes, we noticed him in the corner looking up and holding up the coconuts and staring at us. Like, really? I know you're not here to buy coconuts. Just stop. He wasn't even trying to be discreet anymore. So we finally finish our shopping and go get in line. We noticed him next to the exit of the store. Never once bought a single item, and we were in there for an hour. We started devising a plan to escape without him seeing us, just in case he was outside waiting for us. The line is pretty long, so it takes us about 10 minutes to get to the front. Just as we are loading our groceries back into the cart, we noticed him walk back inside and stop and scan the area. He makes direct eye contact with me, smiles, and just walks into the store down one of the aisles. We grab the rest of our bags, walk outside as fast as we can, hoping that would be faster than him as we didn't see where he went once he walked back inside. We left out of a different exit than he had walked in, and as soon as we got outside, he was there, walking directly towards us. I froze in fear because I was scared. My mom put her hand on my back and gave me a little shove, told me to go directly to the car, get inside, and lock the doors while she loaded the groceries. As soon as she was finished, she got into the car. She said that she saw him get into his truck, and he was just sitting in there waiting. We began driving home, and of course, he begins following us. My mom started to speed up, and as soon as we went around a corner, he had lost sight of us. She pulled into a random gated parking lot, and we hid in there as he drove by. We waited about 15 minutes just to make sure that he didn't see us or come back, and then we just went home. It was about 5 years ago. I was only 15 and was on vacation with my parents and some of their friends. These friends of theirs also had a daughter who was 4 years younger than me. One day we went to a water park nearby. Our parents thought that I was responsible enough, considering my age, asked me to look after their friend's daughter. I agreed. So we are here running around in the park trying different slides and queuing for various attractions. One of them was really fun, so we usually went for that one. That's when things got ugly. We were there talking about random stuff when 2 men in their 50s started laughing at what we were saying. We didn't even notice that they were behind us, so we just turned to look at them, give them a smile, and then we returned to our conversations. Then I heard them clearly saying some ugly things louder than they needed to, so that we could hear them. Things like, "Oh, those bikinis are really nice. Maybe we should ask them to come with us." For a moment, from the corner of my eye, I saw one of them touching himself over his costume, and they were getting closer to our backs. Too close, to be exact. So I immediately saw a lot of red flags. Just thought that it was going to get worse and worse. My friend was clearly confused, since she was also younger. Then one of the men tapped me on the shoulder and asked if we were alone. I told them no, my dad is here. They scanned the area, wondering if my dad was actually there watching the whole thing. I saw the occasion and ran away, taking my friend by the hand, just going as far away as possible from these guys. About 5 minutes later, I was looking for my parents, but since I didn't have my phone with me, I really couldn't find them. The place was crowded, and it was also one of the biggest parks in my region. We decided to go to another attraction, just to ignore the whole thing. Well, what happened next left us speechless. While queuing for the attraction, the guys from before found us and said, "Why are you girls running? We just want to have some fun with you." I managed to reply to them, "We don't want to stay," saying it louder so that the other people in the queue could hear me too. Some teenagers around my age noticed something was off and pretended to know us, saying, "Hey, where have you been? Do you want to go to the slide with us?" And I went along with them, trying to get those guys away from us. They apparently gave up and left the queue. I thanked those guys and explained to them the whole thing. They said they would stick with us for the whole day just in case the dudes were stalking us. At this point, the day is almost over. We're heading to the changing rooms. Our newly made friends told us that they would wait outside while we were changing. I was grateful for their kindness, because after that, we never saw those old men ever again. Or so I thought. While I'm changing, I hear a man's voice coming from one of the stalls. It sounded like one of those men. I'm thinking that it's not possible. I'm just imagining it. But then I see him getting out of the stall with a child. He was helping her get changed. For a second, our eyes met. He was very surprised since he hadn't noticed me. He immediately dashed out of the changing room. I was petrified and scared of going outside. My friend finished changing, and then we caught up with the other dudes. We finally met our parents and said goodbye to our saviors. To this day, I still think that if those boys hadn't helped us, we would have been constantly harassed and stalked by those dudes for the whole day, maybe even worse. So, to the men who stalked me and my friend in the water park, I really hope that you get caught doing whatever the hell you were doing.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.